Hi, my name is Jacqueline Paul, and I'm the project lead for the Maugalee Giginijana Initiative. You're going to be hearing from my colleagues Elizabeth Burton, policy analyst, and Heather McNeil, our legal advisor. So we are from the Maugalee Giginijana Initiative, which means keeping our children together. And our team works out of the Gwillimuk Mau Glusawakan Mi'kmaq Rights Initiative office. We are working to draft a Mi'kmaq customary code and policies to reclaim Mi'kmaq jurisdiction over child welfare from the province. The work we are doing on the Mi'kmaq Customary Code is an exercise of Aboriginal right and self-governance and does not derogate from the Aboriginal treaty and inherent rights of the Mi'kmaq rights holders. The Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies will also remain in draft form until they are ratified and can be changed based on the feedback we receive from our stakeholders.
Today we're going to be talking about the future agency's functions and authority to provide child and family well-being services. I don't think anyone will disagree that if a child is being harmed and a family needs help, that there needs to be a body that protects the child and works with the family to provide supports. That body would be the future agency in this case. The Mi'kmaq Customary Code lays out the principles that guide the work of the future agency. Here are a few examples of those principles. The agency, in carrying out its functions, needs to do so in the spirit of respect and collaboration with the people it serves. Here's another one. Social workers need to work with families using a trauma-informed lens, strength-based lens, a harm reduction approach, and culturally safe practices. Another, we also want to highlight that the focus of the customary code is on prevention, which we anticipate will help reduce the number of children removed from their parents' or caregivers' care. We want Mi'kmaq children and families to be supported to have their needs met so that it doesn't result in a child being harmed. In the customary code, services that promote prevention and early help must be given priority and must be paramount over other services or programming, as long as it is in the best interest of the Mi'kmaq child. A good example of this could include the provision of voluntary prenatal services and supports. Another good example could be supporting access to counseling services or educational or developmental assessments for children who have challenging behaviors.
The future agency will be able to provide services and supports for Mi'kmaq children and families in 4 main program areas: prevention and early help, family preservation, placements, and adoption. The future agency won't be able to provide all of these services on their own, but will work collaboratively with other community organizations to support families, meet their needs, and build a network of prevention. When providing services in all of these program areas, social workers will be able to provide assessments to help determine the holistic needs of the child, the family, the carer, or the adopting parents. These assessments will be new and are based on the Mi'kmaq 7 Sacred Teachings and a Mi'kmaq worldview. These assessments can help inform how the future agency can best support Mi'kmaq children, families, carers, and adopting parents.
And like we discussed last week, the future agency will need to look into reports of harm to Mi'kmaq children. That will include performing background checks, interviewing people who have relevant information, checking in on the child and the family, and gathering relevant information or evidence to determine if the report the agency received was true or not. The future agency will also be able to do assessments with families to help figure out the best level of support needed to address the concern in the least intrusive way.
One of the things we're looking at is putting in place a dedicated team of social workers for after hours and on weekends to respond to reports or concerns during those times. This team would consist of social workers who only work evening or night shifts.
Now, we have heard from community members that it can be triggering for police to be involved when a social worker comes to visit a home. We took this to heart and addressed it in the Mi'kmaq Customary Code and policies. Police officers will only be involved if the police officer is specifically requested to keep the peace if there is a safety issue or concern. We also included that if a police officer is needed, that Mi'kmaq or Indigenous officers should be requested first, because they may have a better understanding of the historical trauma and the needs of Mi'kmaq community members.
We think it's very important for the future agency to make space to build strong networks of prevention within communities. This can include community outreach and engagement, building partnerships with other organizations, and working with leadership to address systemic barriers and close gaps affecting Mi'kmaq children and families.
Thank you for listening. We hope you keep an eye out on our social media and YouTube pages for our very next video on entry pathways. Thank you.
Thank you.